So I landed in DC on Thursday morning after a long red-eye flight and was greeted by comrades from Sacramento, Texas, San Francisco to New York, and of course DC. We all got straight to work, making placards, signs, preparing materials, all in preparation for the inaugural protest and the Women's March the day after. So in this talk, I'm going to talk about four key things.
Yes, yeah. We'll come get you.
I hope to talk about four key things, which are, one, the deliberate challenges we faced in preparing for this march, or this protest, the actual protest itself, the Women's March, and then where do we go from here? We had an upsurge of protests, but, where do we take it now? So the Answer Coalition had been fighting for almost a year to get permit access for a right to protest on the Inauguration parade route on January 20th. Just a week prior to the protests, we were told that the credentialed media, including major TV networks, were not allowed to cover this protest. This was a deliberate act of censorship, political discrimination, and a huge threat to our right to free speech. But our lawyers at the Justice Center fought up until the night before to get access for C-SPAN and Pacifica to do live streaming coverage. Even though this was a huge victory and a necessary one that we had to fight, unfortunately, the New York Times reported that at least 6 journalists were arrested while covering the protest on that day. We were instructed by the Secret Service that our stage setup needed to happen on Wednesday, 2 full days prior to the protest. This meant that people had to be staffed around the clock to watch the stage in case people tried to mess with it. And I think some folks here in the room who were in DC have some stories to tell about their stage shift, which they can share afterwards. They're pretty hilarious. The road closures were also additionally strenuous. There were no accessible loading zones for us to unload our materials. So at 4 a.m., mind you, after wrapping up around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning the day before, we had to be at the nearest open street to unload, walk like 10, 15 minutes to the checkpoint with hundreds of signs, carts of food, water, and other necessary materials. These were only some of the major challenges that took place prior to the actual inaugural protest. And after a certain time, like around 10 or 11, the Secret Service checkpoint stopped letting protesters into our rightful protest space that we fought for. Thousands of protesters made it into the site while tens of thousands of protesters were stuck behind the checkpoints. And just to give you an idea of what this meant, our New York comrades arrived to the checkpoint at around 6 or 7 a.m., and they didn't even make it through the checkpoint until like 10 or 11. So that's like 4 hours of waiting just to get through. And by the time they made it through, even tens of thousands of people were behind the checkpoint, and folks from Asheville, North Carolina couldn't make it through. And not only did they not let protesters through, Trump supporters created an express line for themselves, and Secret Service allowed them to go through. Along the parade route, I couldn't see any other sound system except for this one big speaker that was anchored right above our protest site. In the middle of our program, the speaker was blasted with Trump's hateful speech, and it almost felt like a deliberate drown out, to the point where my ears started ringing. But we were equipped to fight back with loud chants, hip-hop music, and tremendous solidarity between folks in the crowd. The protest, despite all of these challenges, was militant, political, and one of the best experiences that I've ever had. And the crowd was full of energy. You could feel the urgency to fight, but also amazing solidarity amongst complete strangers. Folks started as early as 6 a.m. all the way to 4 p.m., and people spoke about a variety of issues that touch our lives. Black Lives Matter, parents of the missing 43 students in Ayotzinapa, people speaking about Palestine, anti-war protesters, and so much more. And the media focused on, a few isolated incidents of violence and property damage, just yet another deliberate attack to erase this moment in our history. I think many folks were worried about clashes between those who were there to protest Trump and those who were there to support Trump. But when you go to a parade, people normally fight, like at the Rose Bowl parade or whatever, people usually fight to be at the front row, like they go there early to get their seats. Our protest site was actually right across the street from those who paid for those bleachers who donated to Trump. And those bleachers were actually completely empty the entire day until after 2 p.m. after the scheduled parade time. And I don't know to what extent this is true, but I saw a series of charter buses drive through. As if people who filled those stands were bussed in. Like, that's what it felt like. Trump supporters who didn't have a seat at those bleachers had to shamefully walk through the protesters, but at least in the part of the protest where I was standing, all they had were empty, condescending remarks like, "I'll pay for your college tuition," or "If you don't like Trump, then leave this country." But anyway, my point is, Trump supporters were, by and large, tremendously outnumbered by the protesters who even made it into the site. You can imagine how satisfactory it was to watch the press secretary, Sean Spicer, belligerently complain about false reporting of crowd size for the inauguration. He claimed that it was bigger than what was reported. And this is completely not true. And in fact, most of the bodies that even made it into the inauguration were mostly there to protest him, not to support him. As I mentioned earlier, the inaugural staff tried to drown us out by bumping up their speakers. Well, we were equipped to fight back, and we had fun while doing so. While the national anthem started playing from the big, looming speaker, everyone got on their knees as a symbolic protest gesture that we learned from Niners football player Colin Kaepernick and many others. We played music, led chants, and among those we played "Fuck Donald Trump" like 7 times with all of our middle fingers up in the air, especially when Mike Pence and Donald Trump himself drove through the parade. It was so satisfying. I don't know how else to explain the nature of this protest except that all of us, complete strangers, were there to fight this racist administration, operated with so much unity. And we didn't allow ourselves to get provoked by Trump supporters. We waited patiently when the inaugural staff tried to mess with us, and we stuck it through for almost 10 hours in the cold. I mean, it wasn't raining like in LA, but it was cold. Sorry, LA. When the parade seemingly ended after Mike Pence and Donald Trump went through the parade, we continued for like another half hour of music and chants. And this had to be like the funniest part of the entire protest, and just shows how embarrassing and childish this new administration is. When we wrapped up, almost half an hour or more after what seemed to be the end of the parade, the big looming speakers turned on again, and the announcer says, "Now the inauguration parade will continue." That's up to interpretation, but maybe it was a coincidence. History shows that the bourgeois media spins a particular narrative to vilify protesters. We were reminded to continue to share our experiences in a truthful way because the media will not cover our right to protest in an objective way at all. In the Washington Post, a journalist reported the acts of violence prompted helmeted police to chase protesters with batons, hose them with pepper spray, ... And then proceeds with marking the first intense confrontations in a day that began with protesters shutting down at least a few security checkpoints. Major media networks attempt to portray the nature of the entire protest as violent, and that because of these violent protesters, that justified the shutting down of checkpoints. Remember that we fought tooth and nail to get only 2 major networks, C-SPAN and Pacifica, to cover the protest. How could all of these media sources claim that the entire inaugural protest was by and large violent when media wasn't even allowed inside the main site to cover it? Additionally, how could checkpoints be shut down due to violent protesters when Secret Service allowed Trump supporters to go through? I'll let you all come to your own conclusions, but given the patterns of the events that day, and even just leading up to that day, it felt like deliberate attacks on our right to protest. And while I can speak more about the events of the protest, I want to discuss what we need to do next. The events leading up to the inauguration, the events following the inauguration, show that we literally have no choice but to fight back. All of our communities are under attack. Our reproductive rights are under attack. The Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone Pipeline is slated to continue forward after months of resistance. Just the other day, another oil spill happened in Iowa. Our environment is under attack. Trump wants to build a wall with our taxpayer dollars and wants to enforce massive scrutiny upon our Muslim brothers and sisters who are fleeing wars that the U.S. instigated in the first place. Our unity as working class people with unique oppressions and struggle recall our own histories to struggle in order to fight these attacks. And in order to fight Trump's regime, we can't depend on politicians to fight on our behalf. Politicians did not fight for the halt of the Dakota Access Pipeline. The thousands of people across the nation and at Standing Rock forced them to stop the pipeline construction. And those who went and stayed in Standing Rock in freezing temperatures stopped the pipeline. And now Trump has shown how easily he can take that away. Obama did not altruistically decide that Chelsea Manning and Oscar Lopez's jail times should be commuted. Through organizing, we demanded that these heroic political prisoners be freed. Our brothers Mumia Abu-Jamal and Leonard Peltier are still yet to be granted clemency. And just a few days after the announcement of Chelsea and Oscar's jail time, the U.S. bombed Libya again. And when we won our civil rights in the 60s, it happened after decades of organized struggle during massive dissent against the Vietnam War. And in order to placate the ever-growing outrage against the war, Lyndon B. Johnson, a Democrat, had to give us what we've been fighting for. Many are still hopeful that the Democratic Party will be the way in which we fight Trump and his cabinet, but history has shown that we cannot depend and never have depended on the Democrats to fight for the gains that we have. It was revolutionary politics and organized mass demonstrations that helped us win our rights. History has also shown that those who run our government will not give us our rights out of moral good. If they did, then we'd have them already, right? They will only do it if they have no other choice to, especially if it means allowing them to carry out their imperialist game. The Democrats, after months of slandering Trump, are now working hand in hand with him to ensure his success as president. While many people believe that the only way we'll survive his presidency is the two parties unite despite their differences, for a vast majority of people, this is a huge betrayal. How do you think that sounds to our immigrant brothers and sisters who have lived every day wondering if they'll be deported? How do you think that sounds to people of color who are now faced with emboldened white supremacists? How do you think that sounds to our Muslim brothers and sisters who already face decades of Islamophobia just to know that it'll only get worse? How do you think that sounds to those who have been fighting against police brutality every single day of their lives? And so here's the secret, right? And I think a lot of people here know this, that the Democrats are not for the people. And they've just done a very good job of misleading us to believing that they are. And they're only interested in upholding a stable government that will continue to carry out imperialist world domination, and they can't do that without placating us. So we will not be placated, and we have no choice other than to fight. I wanted to talk about the Women's March a little bit because there was a big difference between the Women's March and the inaugural protest. The Women's March drew hundreds of thousands of people, and the count around the nation, I think, was like 4.5 million. That's like a lot of people. Only furthering the point that Trump did not win a majority vote. Most of these people came out to their first protest this day, giving us a glimpse of what we could achieve if we only continue this momentum. I'm going to say something that might piss off a lot of people who went to the Women's March. We need to ditch the Democrats, and yes, that means ditching Hillary Clinton. Her being a woman is only symbolic to the feminist movement. And what do I mean by this? Right? Feminists, in my mind, don't carry out political agendas that means putting our sisters abroad in danger. Feminists don't promise banks that they'll be at their service. If Hillary were a feminist pick, then why did she attend the inauguration of a misogynist, racist, and just a general cabinet that will only make life worse for women and working people in this country? She didn't attend or even address the Women's March, which in some ways kind of started because of the outrage of the idea that a misogynist is now our president, and because the female pick lost. And we as organizers and people who have lost faith in the Democrats and have never supported Hillary need to do the very hard work of winning these people over. If they went into the streets because they want to see change, then we need to make sure that they know what change will look like when we mobilize with revolutionary politics. Whether or not people agree that the Democrats will not fight for us, we cannot stop fighting ourselves. And to quote Sister Asada, it is our duty to fight for our freedom. And how exactly do we do that? We need to join grassroots organizations like the Answer Coalition, like the Party for Socialism and Liberation, like Black Lives Matter, and so many other organizations out there that we can join. It was grassroots organizing and mass mobilizations that gave us our reproductive rights, our civil rights, our voting rights. Remember, 4.5 million people turned out for the Women's March. If we could turn that many people out with clear political message of we want full rights for immigrants, or we want to jail killer cops, or we want affordable health care and housing for all, then we stand a chance against this racist regime. We are the majority, and only unity will help us get there. If you are a feminist who supports Hillary Clinton, then we need you to also fight for our struggles against the war, which only kills our sisters abroad. That means critically thinking about the role that Hillary and the Democrats have played in destructive wars for profit. If you're a feminist who doesn't really see LGBTQ issues as also your own, then you need to learn to embrace those struggles as your own. And that means embracing our trans and gender nonconforming people. That means that mass incarceration of our brothers and sisters of color is an attack on all of us. And that means if you have always fought for immigrants' rights, then we also need you to embrace our Muslim brothers and sisters who are fleeing wars to find refuge. And we need to show up for one another. And that means we need to all fight for each other under one banner of unity that says we refuse to accept the attacks Trump is waging against our communities. And we won't wait for electoral politics to fight on our behalf. We must fight for our own freedom.